Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this platform, the Live Out Your Potential podcast by Solid Minds Counseling Clinic. My name is Nelson Kitofu. I'm here to be hosting this conversation today. A conversation that we're having in a very specific timeline because we're recording this in June, which is recognized as Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And we're going to talk about men's mental health. And the conversation will be around men's mental health in young people's perspectives. And today I'm happy and honored to be joined with a panel of young men with whom I'll be having this conversation. And before we go any further, I'd like to ask you to introduce yourselves, and then I'll take it from there. Should we start with you?
Yeah, my name is Joshua Momo, and I'm pleased to be here, and hopefully we'll have a very nice conversation.
Great.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, my name is Chikelu. Yeah, I'm also really happy to be here.
Hi Nelson, and hi everyone. I'm Nick Azaria, and it's my great pleasure to be here and talk about mental health in this month specifically.
Great. So thank you very much, and thank you very much for making time for this conversation. I think it's very important, not only as men, but just in general. I feel like the topic is being talked about in different perspectives. So it's important for us actually to also chime in the conversation and try to understand men's mental health or our mental health, first of all, and then how do we reflect it and how does that reflect the community that we live in. So to start this conversation, I'll start with a small myth versus reality icebreaker. So these are the rules. I have a set of statements I want to read out to you. And then I want you to tell me if you agree with it or not. And then I'll give you about 10 seconds to just talk about it. And then hopefully we'll come to it later in the conversation, yeah? So the first statement says, men are less emotional than women. Is that a myth or that's a reality?
It's a myth.
It's a myth?
Yeah.
Ooh, how about you, Chick?
I think it's a myth, actually.
Yeah, it's a myth.
What do you say?
I think both men and women are equally emotional, but men are less expressive emotionally, and women are more expressive. So maybe.
How about you?
That's exactly what I would have said, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will agree on that one, where as every human being has the 3 dimensions, where you have the physical, spiritual, and intellectual, and men are also human beings, so we are all the same.
So we are as emotional as women.
Yes.
The second statement says, a man should be able to solve his problem on his own. Is that a myth or a reality?
It's a myth.
It's a myth.
It's a myth.
Same thing. Let me proceed. The third statement, men don't have enough safe spaces to talk about their feelings.
Reality.
Reality.
True?
Yeah.
Okay. Many male friendships are built around activities rather than emotional connection.
Yeah, I think
Reality.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be curious to hear more about that. Another one says, young men today are under more pressure than previous generations.
Which kind of pressure to what?
I don't agree with that one.
Yeah. How so? Tell us more.
I agree with it.
Tell us more.
Yeah, I'll say currently men like the younger generation has a stepping stone, while the previous generation had to build everything from scratch, where whatever you were doing has either to be correct, and there was little room for mistake compared to nowadays where you can try something, it doesn't work, try another thing. But before it was a situation of life or death. Yeah.
How about you, Chick?
I feel like there's way more pressure right now because during the time of our parents, you could afford to get married even though you don't have a lot of things figured out, and you could figure things out on the way. Whereas in our own age and time, someone who is 20 years is already thinking about how he's going to build a house. Like, you're just meant to be relaxing at home, watching movies, just relaxing. But you're already thinking like somebody who is in his 30s or 40s, you understand? So I feel like the pressure is way more the pressure of failing academic pressure, financial, everything. I think it's way more in our time.
Yeah, I would say like it's a mix of both, because I think social media has created more pressure for men now, and that's because, like you said, there's so many. You compare yourself with other people, but maybe to pick up on Nick's point, now we are more blessed in terms of resources and access to resources. So maybe it's easier to find solutions than it was like before. But I think the social media problem just compounds it.
My next statement was about social media. It says social media has done more harm than good for men's mental health.
Yeah, I would say more harm.
Way more harm.
Yeah? You also agree?
Yeah. I wouldn't just limit it to men.
It goes to general.
Yeah.
Okay, that's true. Another statement says university is one of the loneliest period in a young man's life. Is that true or false?
Loneliest or longest?
Loneliest.
One of the. Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah?
I'd say so.
No, I wouldn't agree.
How about you?
I'd say it's one of the other ones. Yeah, it's one of them. It's among. Yeah.
We'll come back to that. There's another one. Male vulnerability makes some people uncomfortable, either themselves or others around them.
Yeah, reality.
Yeah.
If a man has a strong group of friends, he's less likely to struggle alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Strong group of friends. The emphasis on the strong, right?
Tell us what you mean by that.
Like, I'm assuming the strong group of friends means that those friends create a very safe space where the man can express his struggles, and also they are supportive. That's what I'm imagining the strong means.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't agree with it because the strong parts is usually determined by people from like from the external view, right? Where you see people who hang out always together, like these guys are strong, but inside in the internal parts, they're actually competing. Like one is trying to catch up with the others. So that's why I was like, well, it's not really true that you might see everyone, like for example, they all go to events together, play football together, but actually one of them has bigger problem that he can't express to the others. Yeah, he might be mocked or
Interesting. So let's now get into the conversation, and I think we'll start by trying to understand what we mean when we hear the word or the statement men's mental health. How does that resonate to you? What do you understand when someone says men's mental health?
I mean, I can go first because
Okay.
I'm always the first. I hope I'm not always the first this conversation. But yeah, I think men's mental health it can be defined in so many ways, and but I think maybe one way I can define it is that gap between how a man is doing and how the man says he is doing. So what I mean by that is, and closing that gap is very important. So usually, because there have been a lot of stigma, and also I think men also put pressure on themselves. So there's usually an expectation they have about themselves, and an expectation they think people have of them as well. So there's, for me, that gap about how the man is doing and how he says he's doing is, can define a lot, the man's mental health. So if the gap is bigger, then man has more mental health struggles. If it's closer to, if he's feeling and he's saying that's how he's feeling, if that gap is closer, then that means his mental health is better.
I actually really like that definition. Just to add on what you said, men's mental health is like, talking about the health of your mind, psychologically, how you're doing, emotionally, socially. Like, how are you just faring? How do you cope with stress? How do you cope with pressure? How do you cope with, all these circumstances that you did not plan for? So, yeah, it's like, I feel like those are the main pillars of what men's mental health is all about.
Yeah, and to add on that, I totally agree with that, is how how they're able to express their emotions. I think that's also that I'd say the missing piece in what Joshua and Chike mentioned. Yeah, how they're able to express their emotions. Yeah.
Let me pick on express emotions, because I think it's even in the question we talked about earlier about men being more emotional than women, yes or no. But I would like to hear your views on whether it's that men are bad at expressing emotions, or us as a community, we're bad at picking men's emotions and act on them.
Yeah, like, as a man, should you cry?
Yeah, sort of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it that we don't have reasons to cry, or probably we shouldn't, or we are vulnerable, as we talked about? So about expressing the emotions.
I think it's a mix of both. And I mean both, yeah, in the sense that on one end, we have men who have not learned how to express because growing up, it is not very emphasized as a man. Maybe you didn't have that good environment, maybe from your dad or generally from your family members or the community, but they create that space for you to express and they don't shun you for doing that. Then also, so I think because of that, men don't grow up learning, because I feel you learn how to do, you become better at something when you do it more. And it comes with self-awareness as well. So, because men don't usually sit with their thoughts, with their feelings, and so they are not equipped to better express it. Then also in terms of the community, I think where the community has a hand is the fact that just generally there is a societal pressure, or there are expectations of how a man should feel about certain things. So you hear statements like, don't be a woman, like, do you get why you acting like a woman? Or yeah, do you get, like, I mean, even to clothes, there was one time like I wore a pink shirt. I don't very strange, by the way, but I wore it. And yeah, I mean, like those statements, many people would joke about it, but sometimes there are expectations of how you should feel, how you should express. So I think the combination of both.
Do you think there should be a way men I mean, there's a way men should, I know it's a trap I'm putting you in, but, you know, regardless of all the comments we always have around it, but is there like a way men should express their emotions?
I don't think there is just one way.
Yes.
Okay. Because if it's regarding emotions, I feel men know how to show emotions. The problem is we all just, when we hear the word emotion, we think of crying only. Because men know how to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Go watch men when they are playing sports. You see that they can show emotion. If you see a man angry, you also see that he can show emotion a lot, like, better than the sad emotions. But in general, it is easier to be angry than to be sad. Because being sad is like, is the toughest, it's one emotion that you feel every, like, as in, it feels like somebody's pinching you, but you can't do anything about it. So, and also the way we are raised, like he said, plays a role today. I remember when my mom, she would tell me that, like, if you're crying, she'd be like, don't cry, you're a man, don't cry.
Yeah.
But if you're happy, nobody says anything. If you're angry, nobody says anything. But that particular one, that crying, everybody's always on that particular one. So it now makes us look as if we don't know how to cry. But we actually do. It's just that we've been taught to minimize it a lot. So I don't think there is a particular way for men to show emotion. I just feel like if we were brought up the same way with girls, that we would all just show emotion. We wouldn't even think too much about it. So yeah.
Yeah, I think this question actually brought me another question in my head. That, do people want to see men vulnerable? Because like Chike was mentioning, how when you talk about expressing your emotions, we always see the negative emotions. While men are actually good at expressing emotions, like we are the one who go after women. And and at that point you're actually expressing how you're feeling about her. And men actually do that most of the time. So that's what prompted me to wonder, like, is it that people want men to show their vulnerability, or is it just they want them to express just negative emotions? And when you're saying, like, should men have a way of expressing their emotions, I think it all depends on everyone. It also affected, like, it also impacted influenced by your environment, because we have sports like box, where if you watch some of the documentaries about that, people actually go there to just remove all the anger. They just go there and like just move everything on the other guy, and the other is also doing the same thing. When it comes to sadness, we've been taught, or men mostly, you go drugs, you do drugs or alcohol, because you just want the feeling to disappear. So should there be one way? I don't think so. But I think people should just be led to express. Like they could be given different options that have worked with others. Then it's upon oneself to choose which one resonates more with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And another way of looking at it, I think, it's also expressing your emotions without people's perspective in mind. Because most of the time, before you even express emotion, the first thought that comes in is how people will perceive it. If people will be, how that will affect your image, as a man. You don't want to cry, not because you don't want to cry, but you're scared of the image of yourself that will be out there.
Like,
or even the good emotions, even positive emotions. You'd be in a position where you want to laugh, but you're like, I shouldn't, or it's, you're not doing it. It's not for you anymore. It's now for the society, for the community, and the people around. Yet, I feel like at some point, which I would agree with you on how men and boys and girls are raised. Usually, men are not very much encouraged to express their emotions. Whichever emotions, either happy or sad emotions. So if maybe one is raising children in that environment, or at least if we're raised in an environment where before you express your emotions, you don't think of people or how they'll react to it, maybe it would be better to expressing emotions or even crying, as many would like to see. Yeah.
I think it somehow also goes with like the way we're mentioning it, how we think, what we think people accept from us. Like a man is portrayed as a protector, right? So and then as a protector, then you are the one who is like if people see you in a vulnerable state, it kind of
contradicts that.
Exactly, that you are the protector. Like, how will you protect me? And you are the one who just just a small trick, and then you're up. Like whether sadness or happiness, you are the first one to just jump out. You don't even think about who you're protecting. And like you were mentioning, like if we could be able not to care about what people will say, then it could create kind of a safe space, the way Chike was saying it, like a safe space where you can easily express. Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Something that Tovi said. He said something about drugs, alcohol, and other ways. I personally think it's very, very important for not just men, every human being to have an outlet. It could be sports, it could be music, movies, so whatever you're doing, anything, just to relieve yourself of something. But my question is, do you think we should? Because you said that we shouldn't care too much about what people would say. So do you think we should throw away the moral compass when we want to find our way to release emotion? Because to some people now, drinking now is against their culture or religion. But to you, it helps you feel better, helps you process things better. So do you think we should throw away the moral compass when you want to try to make your own mental health better?
I'll go with it's a matter of options that have been available in our environment. A few days ago, discussing with a friend on why do men spend money, but don't men spend money on themselves? So it was a scenario where he was saying how his dad has very few clothes, like men usually have few clothes, but then he'll be spending all his money on his wife, if not wife, kids, or buying land. Then I told him, yes, because our parents didn't have many options where to spend their money on. Like they were back then, if you wanted a car, that means you need a huge amount of money. So whatever they will do is they'll buy land. That's where the money can go to, or spend it on their family. And the only place where they can actually spend their money is alcohol or women. And of course, with the current trend of Jonasi, that was also part of the conversation, that how we got to that point, right? Because it's because that's how you can spend money. And then we also raised in that environment where the elders in your surrounding, that's what they know. They know, well, if you want to go out, maybe you just want to have fun, is alcohol, women, or sports. They didn't have many options like what you have today. So talking about moral compass, yes, but there's also health, which also comes in place. Like, do you also care about yourself? Because when we say morality, we look at bad and good, but it's still based on what's already there. And then we just want to tend just to those limited options. While there are many other things that people can actually go through, like you can, like arts, though you're saying like arts, music, hiking, trekking, swimming, and all those stuff. Now we have many options, and people should try to explore them. Yeah.
The way I see it, I think there are different layers to that question around the moral compass, because it's actually in relation to something you said about us being more aware about mental health as a younger generation than previous generations. First of all, there's a lot, I'm talking in the African context, a lot of young people who are now having conversations around mental health without role models, without people who can teach them or actually show them how they do care about their own mental health. It's not something you've seen your dad do or your grandfather or your uncle. So it's mostly what I learned from a friend, what I saw on the internet. And, these are how we're learning to about mental health, but also the practices that we're doing on it. And that being, we also tend to, as you said, we tend to copy the way others cope or the way others treat themselves. So, for example, if I see you drinking, and then I'd be like, okay, if I'm sad, then I should drink. Not because I enjoy drinking, but just because I hear everyone does it, and then I do it. And unfortunately, you end up using it, and then it becomes your copying, or I'm a man, I should do this.
Yeah.
But initially, it wasn't your intention, and you're not doing it for your own your own wellness. So it's not like you sat and then decided, okay, this is how I want to treat myself, and then do this. It's just, it's the buzz out there, everyone is doing it, and nothing brings you to that point where you start questioning and say, okay, I don't feel well in these aspects of my life. Okay, this is how this is what would make me feel better. Maybe I should talk to someone. And I think, as you mentioned earlier, social media is not doing us justice on that, because everything we're seeing on social media only worsens at least the little you knew. Because the moment you think you're doing better, then there's another perspective. Someone else comes, is a coach, is whatever, and then you don't know where you're at in terms of caring about yourself. So I think in moral compass, I would rather bring ourselves back to us understanding mental health, first of all. I mean, our wellness, the health part, as Nick said, and then be able to sort of create our own definition as on a personal level. Like, how do I care about myself, me as an individual? Because there's a lot of mental health have been brought up in different setups, and mostly being portrayed as something weak or something for women. When people talk about self-care, you already see, or yoga, or I don't know, going for a spa, things that, a man but it's not usually in their practice, or they didn't see that growing up.
Yeah.
So in a way, it also stops us from actually understanding better the subject because okay, I don't want to go learn about how I should do yoga or how I should do this thing. Not because they're bad, but that's the first image that comes to your mind. Yet I think it should be the other way around. It should be you wanting to, be better, feel better, thrive in different aspects of your life, and then now defining the way you should go about it.
Yeah.
All right. Now that brings me to something that you said earlier about generations again. And I'm curious to understand your views on how or why you think mental health is a conversation in young people today than previous generations. I don't think our fathers or our grandparents had time to actually define mental health, leave alone men's mental health in particular. So is it the social pressures we're saying? Is it like, is it that we're living in an era where we have a lot of challenges that we now awake, we need to talk about our mental health? But what is it that creates that generational gap in terms of understanding men's mental health?
Okay, is it like only understanding or like having conversations around
it? Yes.
Yeah, I think like there are many factors, not just one factor. Like, I mean, one factor like I easily point out is data. If you have data like of how men are committing suicide, then that is a very good conversation starter, and that's going to, I think technology has also played a good part in ensuring that these conversations are happening more. And generally I won't say I lean on the side to say that now we have it worse as a generation, because I think generally as a generation we are the most blessed in terms of so many things. But at the same time, like we said, I think the social media pressure and all the things that come with that also create a very different kind of pressure that our parents did not have. Then I think also expectations in the society and how those expectations, I don't know, trickle down from our fathers now is coming to us. But I think now we are seeing some pushback against those kind of expectations that we had, or that our parents had from our generation, because maybe people are beginning to see some of the negative effect of that. And I think that's why some of these conversations are happening more and more. So I think, there's a couple of reasons that I would say that have contributed to the fact that people are having those conversations more, and maybe mental health is becoming something that is talked about and more important now.
Yeah, to add to what Joshua, like the way he started, data, right? We have access to the actual damage. I'll say it. We have access to actual damage that's been done to the society throughout the years. And since men were the ones running the society, then it's more like we should, like the way they say, you should not cure, but you should prevent the disease, right? And I think that's why it's a good time, because we have tools that we can use to assess whether the way people were doing things were correct, the damage that been done, and how can we fix all those damages. And like the way men have been the one running the society, so their own mental health should also be discussed, because one is driven by the mind, like your thoughts, and that's actually the source of everything. So whatever you thought of, that's what you're gonna do. And if we don't start from there, then just keep on doing the same things over and over. And the best way to prevent things, like in terms of behavior, is through education. And I think that's where education also comes in many forms, where it could just be talking about it, or organizing activities about it, or even understanding how people used to do it before and how can it be done better. Yeah.
Okay. You know, there's something like when I was younger, there's something they taught me about magicians. They said that a magician's greatest trick is not him pulling out the rabbits or is the trick of illusion, is what I want you to see that you will see. So we can all agree here that social media has done really bad things to people. But social media, I think, is the reason why we all know about mental health issues today. Because if I actually ask how many of you have seen someone with OCD, like real life OCD, or like, like type 3 depression, or like really deep stuff, like you've actually seen them, not these people that you wake up in the morning, you're happy, in the afternoon, you're not happy, you're like, oh, I have bipolar. No, like, have you actually been diagnosed of something? Like, have you gone to the hospital to see someone that is mentally deranged? Probably a lot of us would say no. But how did we get here today? How did we know about mental issues? Mostly through social media.
Yeah.
You see videos, you see stuff. So to answer the question about the generational perspective is, I feel like a lot of the suicide numbers may have even been high at that time.
Yeah.
But because of technology now, because of social media, that's why we know of those numbers. They may have been higher, they may have been lower.
Yeah.
But social media helps us to see. It just visualizes like this huge report book where you come out like report, oh, someone did this to me, you got to report, social media, then everybody starts to see it. So I think mental health issues have always been there, but now we can just see it. We can visualize it. We hear people talk about it. So it now moves us to want to do something about it. So yeah.
Interesting. From data and social media, I want us now to talk about what young men are struggling with mentally today in this era where we are informed, we have the data, but we are also exposed. The world has become a village. Today, I can know what is going on different parts of the world. And from your own experiences, and it's interesting because I want to talk about in the academic setup, in a university lifestyle, but also because all of you think you are studying in a country that's not the motherland.
Yeah.
So you're studying away from home, and you're living this era where you are informed, and the social media. There's a lot of pressure, but I want to understand from your perspective, what do you think men are struggling with? Young men of your age, of your generation, are struggling with today?
Like, I think fundamentally, the main struggle is, what does it mean to be a man? Like, that's the main struggle. And
what does it mean?
And I think that gives birth to a couple of things I would say. I mean, when you look at the rise of people like the Andrew Tate, the Jordan Petersons, they're extreme ones, they're very good ones. But one reason why those people's messages were appealing to the younger men mostly was because they were kind of showing them what it means to be a man. And it's important because as a man, you wake up in various settings, at work, in school, and then people are telling you a man has to work 80 hours a week to show that he's a man, or a man has to have a lot of money to show that he's a man, or a man has to bear the responsibility of his family for generations that his fathers could not do in one or few years. So I think all of those questions are in your mind, and even like in the academic setting that you're talking about, you come to school, there is this pressure on you, not just to do well, but to do it well enough to make enough money quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So some of us, you see, some people are trying to work, they're trying to school, and also there are also expectations from family back home. Most of us happen to leave our, like you say, our homeland to come here, and then maybe most of us are usually sponsored. And that means we usually otherwise would not have the money to pay it. And that means, backgrounds matter and we have responsibility. So as a man that you're coming to school, you are not just coming to school. You have responsibility at home, immediate, and you also have responsibility in terms of future. Like everybody is expecting that as you graduate 2 years, I can remember when I was coming, my parents, I'm not my parents exactly, but some of my uncles and aunties, they were like, okay, don't worry, just go spend these 2 years. At least by the time you come back, we know you are going to support us. Do you get to all those kind of things now? You're under this pressure, like you said, in your 20s, for example, you should be, but now there's this pressure of responsibility. And I think that also, they're also having those questions about what it means to be a man in those kind of situations as well.
Okay. That's actually it's really deep. Wow. I think I'll talk about another one instead. Like since you talked about the academic side, I feel like one of the biggest issues we face as men is our future expectations, and it's linked to what you're saying as well. But like men just tend to feel because of how society has shaped the standards that if you are not rich, like I'm talking really rich, you failed at life. But the truth of the matter is, to any man that's watching this right now, I hope and pray that you will not be so poor that it is only money you'll have. Because sometimes people focus so much on money that money is all they have. They don't have people, they don't have friends. They don't, like, you cannot discuss with these people for more than 10 minutes. They don't have much to offer you. All they have is money. You understand? So, and that comes from the way, you're shaped. You see everything has to do with money. Your girlfriend is making you feel like you don't have money, you're not important. Your siblings are saying, please send me money. You say you don't have money, they'll just this one. It's just like, as in, you just tend to feel like this money is like it's my only purpose.
Yeah.
So that's one of the major things that blocks our head. We just praying every day you wake up, please let me not be poor. Let me not be poor. Like, that's all you want to do. You're not thinking about any other thing in life. That's why sometimes I ask people, what do you do? They tell me, oh, I'm an architect. I'm not asking you what you do to earn a living. What do you do? Like, what do you like doing? You understand? Like this now, I like doing this. But this is not what I'm using to earn a living. You understand? Because once you ask people that question, first thing is money. Something about money. So I feel like that's something that occupies like 90% of our heads. So yeah.
Yeah. They have touched on the most important part, money. And I might go back to Joshua's point, identity, where, of course, there's social media. We have access to a lot of information, a lot of tools, but then that also drags us away from understanding our roots. I'll say that we think, since we are the first generation using AI, you were born with computers are already there. So since you have access to a lot of information, that means you know a lot. You know how to do everything, and that kind of disconnects us from the previous generation, where we could actually learn from them. There was a LinkedIn post that was saying how not just social media, but the internet is now filled with information from people without experience. Whereas someone's been working for the past 50 years in that industry. Then I graduated from CMU, and the next thing I do, I also start my own WordPress, like a blog. And I start writing about cloud computing. Or you finish in psychology, you start writing about mental health. And what experience do you have? You're just an intern at Solid Minds, for example, for 3 months. And then you did some research, you read some books, and immediately you start creating content on mental health. While at Solid Minds, you have someone like Chantal, right? Yeah, Chantal who's been there for a while now, but she's just there watching. And then she won't say, and then now the previous generation, they're just watching. They're not saying anything. Whatever you're saying there is a lie. But because you think, like our generation, we think since you have access to information, to books, that means we know things, while we actually don't. Okay, we might have a clue, but not the reality that's there. And I think that's one thing that we think having access to information means we know a lot of things, and we don't want to ask. We don't want to. I'll say we don't want to be coached. We don't want to be mentored. We think just from books there. And that drives me, like, we are losing the sense of community. And that's one thing that we're actually losing. Like, the question that you ask, if I think the undergrad period is when men are the most lonely. I think that was the question, right? And I'll say, I said no, maybe because of my personal experience. but maybe I might not be shifting because we think hanging out with people, you go out at night, you play football together, you think it's a community, it's like a sense of community. But actually, if you have a breakdown, who do you go to? Do you go to that community? And that's one thing that you're actually losing. Because before, when I was still young, you'll see at least by every maybe 2 weeks or per month, you have your cousins who come home, you have a get together, you play together, you chill out, you chill and all that. And that made you feel good because you had people that, I belong to this one. But then we are growing up, we have WhatsApp, we have Instagram, we think sending reels to people, having tons of groups who talk about this and that. We have that illusion that we actually belong somewhere, but in reality, we actually don't belong anywhere. Yeah. I think that's one thing that men are also facing.
Interesting. How do you see a way out of this? And here I want to sort of drive the conversations around what is it that is there to actually support men through all these struggles. So I want to drive the conversations around like what support systems do we have as men that are helping us throughout all these challenges? Because I believe you mentioned just a few, and people experience this differently. And I'll tackle the subject you talked about, Nick. Even though you changed your mind on the on the answer, but I want to talk about male friendship. And usually in university or in its school, in general, that's when most friendship are formed. This lifelong friendship, people have been friends for 50 years. You'll get to find most of the time they went to school together, they were neighbors, they've been together. As in, school helped them to bond because it brought them together, and then it continued throughout their life. And I would like now to talk about friendship in general, but male friendship. How do you define male friendship?
Wow,
that's a big question.
Yeah.
There's usually this joke where they compare male friendship and female friendship.
Mm-hmm.
That a man would just like you be on the road, you're driving like high speed, then you are behind a truck. You're all over, like you're all speeding up. But then when you want to
swerve.
Yeah, like when you want to
overtake.
Okay. He'll just like light on bring the light on, and you should not go there, and then you go back. Like that's how men build trust easily. Just you don't know each other, you're on the road, and it just does that, and let me wait. Yeah. Then at some point, just let you go. Be like he now use the opposite one. That means you can now overtake him, and you just go. So male friendship, I would usually say like. I think it doesn't have a definition per se, because what the society thinks of friendship is not actually it's just if you have one thing that you do together most of the times that this one can support me in this and that. That's on my own point of view. And also the trust where I know whatever I can tell you will stay between us. Yeah. And then like that's how I will define a male friendship. Like I suppose like someone that they can support you. You trust them that whatever we talked about will just stay between us, and someone who can tell you the truth, like straight ahead, like this is not true. Like let's say you've been enjoying more expressing your emotions through, let's say, alcohol, drugs, and it's someone who can call you out like you've been doing this for long, like it's not good for your health. You have now, how you have to stop. Yeah, that's what I'll say.
I think male friendships have 4 dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
For me, they have 4 dimensions. The first one is acquaintance level. I'm just meeting you. Yeah. Like, your name, all these things. I probably may never see you again. The second dimension is guy. Guy is like someone you can go play ball with, can play video games with. Nothing like I may never know your name. Just like you guys. I may not even really like I may not really ask you your birthday. That not my business. We're just Third dimension is actually a friend. Someone you know deeply or something you've been together for a while. So he's not a guy, but he's not the number 4, which is brother. A brother is like the tightest a guy can ever be with another guy. A brother is someone who can actually call you out like, this is not good. Like, it's not every guy you can just call out for something. Yeah.
True.
It's if you're on the level of brotherhood, you can actually call out, you'd be like this is your guy, like you can say things like that. So yeah, these are very, very fundamental should I say relationships that you could have with your guy, because most times it's a brother that will be there for you through thick or thin. A friend is mostly there for you in the good times. Then in the bad times, they disappear. So yeah, most times we just need to develop more brothers in our lives, because a lot of us, a lot of guys, a lot of men, we just have guys. It's not just some people that you like, yo, like, let's play a game, but not someone that you can tell, you, I'm feeling heartbroken. You understand? Automatically, the person will be looking at you like, why are you telling me? You understand? But if it's a brother you told that, they'll be like, yo, what's up now? Let's go get something to eat. Like, we'll talk about it. You understand? So,
Yeah, like I think I'll speak more on the brotherhood thing.
Yeah.
It's very important because growing up, it's very easy to just stay in that guy zone.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's easy, and that one is very shallow. And I feel that's where many men, like you said, stay. And I think for us, if we want these conversations to really yield results in our life, we need to go through that. But that brotherhood means it demands vulnerability, demands honesty, and demands depth. And I feel many men don't want that most of the time. You don't want somebody that you can tell, for example, that I'm struggling with this, or I'm having a hard time, or, for example, like the whole idea of pornography. You know that pornography is a very big thing. Like, not many guys will be comfortable telling, but and that's why it's easy to just stay at that brotherhood, because it's shallow. The demands there are very shallow. Like you said, you don't go and tell somebody that kind of thing, and there's no depth. And but I think when you have a brother, you're able to trust him with your emotions. Like Nick said, that trust. You can trust them with your emotions that, yeah, I'm going through this now. Didn't make the right decisions, but help me out. Yeah, so I think
I want to challenge that idea a bit. The idea that that's how it is and that's how men cope. And I want to understand if that's what men want, or we just find ourselves in that situation and you don't know how to get from guy to actually a brother, or at least a friend. So because most of the time, we meet up in different occasions. We're sitting, we watch a game together. I know you like football. I like football. Next time there's a game, I'll call you. Let's go watch. And that's the guy stage, as I understand it. But I don't think. Okay, I don't know. Maybe you let me know if that's what we want as men. Have those kind of relationship, or there's something that is blocking us from moving from this guy situation to actually now being a friend, or being a brother, or being more connected to each other. So I don't know if this falls under, again, the idea that we're not good at expressing emotions, but I feel like somewhere deep down in us, we need that. It's a need. We need to have that relationship that goes beyond just, hey, let's talk about football, let's talk cars, let's talk this, but actually let's connect to another level. Let's, So what is it that is blocking us to actually cross that line? And as you are saying them in stages, to move from one stage to the other.
I think with guys, there's always an exam, right?
Mm-hmm.
When a guy has a female friend and when a guy has a male friend, there is always this unwritten exam of trust. Okay? And when that exam happens, you will never know. A guy will just casually say, guy, I'm going through a lot. And then you start laughing. It's done. It's like that's what I need to know whether I can promote you to brother or just keep you where you are. Because a guy will never come to you and hold your hand and be like, let's connect. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about our lives. They will never say that.
Happen, yeah.
There's always something. There's always, it could be, I don't know. There always, there's just something. You'll notice a particular part in your relationship or your friendship where the guy will just say something deep and just wait. That's the exam. Like, he wants to see if I can actually show him that in this moment in time, I can trust you. You can help me, even though you're not probably going to solve this, like the issue, but you can just say something helpful, or you can do something that will just make it, even if it's 1% better. That's what actually promotes people from friend to brother or from guy to friend. And then the reverse is also the case. When you now maybe take it as a joke, or you just do something that would not even, like, I would be regretful of why I even told you. You automatically just stay where you are. So yeah, I think that's how the promotion.
And to add to his point, like, it takes hard work, and depth breeds depth, and like you say, honesty breeds honesty. If we're all sitting here, right, and somebody decides to take the lead, to be very honest, and say something extremely vulnerable, right, and you all stay shallow, or that you guys are two and you just stay shallow, that then there's going to be a mismatch, and most likely that guy will not most likely come and tell anything vulnerable again. So, and I discovered that with a lot of my brothers that I have now, we mostly form, like you say, no guy will just come and meet you and be saying like, let's talk. Mostly form that trust and that brotherhood from situations where one person was either vulnerable or very honest or very deep, and the other just followed. And the more of that you have, you just, okay, this is someone that I can actually be very vulnerable with. So I think, yeah.
One thing I find interesting about the whole idea of friendship is that sometimes we are very much into defining what a friend should be, what we want in a friend. And we tend to forget that we actually are the other friend on the other side. So, and I would like you to speak about now, how can we become better friends or good brothers, as you're saying? Because I believe every young man out there watching us, they have guys, they have friends, brothers, but themselves, they are guys to other people. So what is it that I need to do, or at least I need to be aware of, so that in my relationship with my friends, with people around me, I'm becoming a better person, but also I'm becoming a better friend, a better brother to those around me?
I spend sometimes on social media, and then I get ideas from there. Yeah, so there was one that I saw a couple years ago, around 4 years ago, where he was saying that they are like 4 guys, and they have a thing that they do monthly, where wherever you are, you update the circle on what's going on in your life. Where so you share on all the 4 aspects, like what are you doing in terms of job, like for a living, how are you doing emotionally, what are the problems that you are currently facing, and are you learning something, and then lastly was about how is family doing and all that. Yeah. So then I tried it with a circle of friends, where we're like, all right, instead of us sending a video, since we see available, let's have 1 call per month. And it's something that has really been helping, where we have some emergency calls when someone has a really big issue, but mostly every month we have that call, and it's great kind of a safe space that I have a support system there. So the way you're mentioning that it's not just what you are getting, it's also what are you giving out. Because on all friendship, not just men friendship, even generally, even in the family, it's always you want to get, but you don't want to give. Yeah. And to know what to give is to know what do you want to get. Because if I want you to be loyal, if I want you to trust me, if I want your trust, if I want your support, initially I should be ready to offer it first. Because you should not demand what you can't give. Yeah, that's...
To add to that, I think, me personally, being able to also lead with vulnerability and honesty. I discovered that most of my calls with even my people I call my brother, I discovered at some point, would call like 10 times and will not talk anything deep. Like most of the time we'll start with is football, then we'll go to football, we'll spend like 30 minutes to talk about football teams. Then next big thing will be, I don't know, a bit of career here and there. Then I would just discover that we'll not say anything that is really deep. But I discovered that maybe for situations where I started becoming more vulnerable, I was like, because last year I actually went through a very tough time mentally as well. So I was like, yeah, maybe I shared that story. I shared that experience of how I was really, I really had it tough mental. And I discovered that because I led with that, they are also able to, and we're having more of these conversations now than we were having before. So I think being able to lead with vulnerability and honesty as well can help my friends.
Honestly, this that you just said reminded me of just like 3 days ago, because my senior brother, I haven't seen him since 2019 physically, because since he went to the US, he has been there. He's even working now. And anytime we're on a call, it's like 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Did you watch the game last night? Stuff like that. But recently, we got on a call and we were talking for like an hour, 30 minutes. Even me, when I saw it, I was like, how? How comes? Because this has never happened before. It made me realize something and it wasn't just football this time. Even though we started with football, we dived into so many spheres of life that I never saw myself talking to my brother about. I'm like, how did we get here? It made me realize that for a man to open up, or for a man to, should I say, for you guys to have a deep conversation, the two parties must be ready.
Yeah.
You offer, and then the person actually accepts. Mm-hmm. You can't be pushing too much. If they don't want to tell you, they will not tell you. So that's something I realized on that call. I realized that, and it also takes time. Imagine me, I'm talking about my blood brother. I've never been on a call that long with my blood brother. Talk more of someone you just meet in school. Yeah. That's from another country or from a different generation as you are. So it takes time. It takes consistent effort. It takes intentionality on a different level. Yeah. The same way you want to communicate with a woman intentionally, you're like, what is the problem? What is problem 1? What is problem 2? What is problem 3? That's the same way you actually consistently keep knocking on the door and you wait for them to let you in. So yeah.
I like the way you mentioned his bad brother, and I think it's also a part where we usually don't look at, where we want to have friends, but mostly from outside. And we forget that we're given the closest, people who will never betray you. Okay, who shouldn't? Because there are situations where you're stabbed in the back. But people who shouldn't be, people who have seen you, you've been really vulnerable with them. You've slept together, you've eaten from the same pot. And we usually go outside to look for friends while we already have the stepping stone of trust, which is there. Yeah. And I think that's a point that we should also try to look at. How could we bring in whatever we are looking for outside? Of course, you can't be always that close to your brothers or sisters or your parents, but at least the gap shouldn't be that huge because they're there for you. There is a text. It's a French text where a lady, I think it was a journalist who saw a lady carrying her brother on her back. Then he asked her, "What are you carrying? Why don't you take off the luggage that you're carrying so that you can walk freely?" Then she said, "It is not a burden. It's my brother. That wherever, even if he's dead, but he's still my brother." And that's something that wherever you go, everyone you go, like you leave your parents' house, maybe you had some argument and then you just disappear. But whenever life gets tough, you go to this friend.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you go back home. And yet we don't spend, we don't invest much time in building more those relationships, that we take them for granted.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I just noticed in hearing you talk about this is that when we talk about men's mental health, we're still throwing the ball back to the man for them to be the first one to be vulnerable, as you're saying, them be the first one to make that step. And which I agree with. I think at the end of the day, you are responsible of your own well-being, your own mental health, and you need to know that, among other responsibilities that you have, there is also that one of feeling good, being better, and thriving in everything that you're doing. But now I'd like to broaden a bit the perspective to our community. So what is the role of community in men's well-being? By community, I mean the people we live with, at school, at work, at everywhere we are. What do you think? Okay, what can you even ask for a community as men? What is it that we're looking for that will actually make it easy for us to be vulnerable, as you're saying, for us to make that first step, or at least for us to be in a place where we understand that, okay, I need to find a way to start this journey of actually trying to understand how I can feel better, how I can thrive in different aspects of my life and mentally also.
I think less stigma. I think that's what community. Yeah, like you said, sometimes you have parents, you have girlfriends that have that makes sense. Sometimes some of these statements are very okay. When my mom came to see me, this is a very personal story, I hope. When my mom came to see me for my graduation, and I've not particularly stayed at home in Liberia long because I was in Nigeria. They went back, so I've been away from my parents for most of my life. So my mom came around, and she came for my graduation. She was leaving, so I and my friends organized some things for her. Send off, is this send? I don't know how to call it now, but just to tell her. And so during that, I gave a speech, and I cried for the first time actually. And so there were some of my female friends were there, and so after that day, each time they see me, and they'll be like, "So if you are crying like this, and your girlfriend is crying, you'll be consoling her." So, and of course, I know they were joking, right? And I personally did not take it too serious. But those kind of statements, if you hear them as a man, especially if you are still battling with those kind of things, you hear them a lot. Yeah, you're in a relationship, or let's say a girlfriend who says it jokingly, that you are most likely not going to cry again. Or even if you want to cry, you are going to bottle it. You will not want to say it. So I think those kind of statements, sometimes they're saying lighter moods or something, but I think those things create stigma around some of those things. So I think one way is to reduce stigma as much as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. The way we're mentioning it, where they want men to be vulnerable, but they still want men to be the protector, the provider. Yeah, like 3 P's. Yeah, there's another P.
There's another one.
Yes, yeah. And so I'll say, even for men, you should not lose, because that's the expectation is still there, that you still have to provide, you still have to protect. But I think it's procreate.
Finally got it.
Yeah, and the part where we are also human beings, that the same way that the other gender feels how how the society has opened the door to them to express themselves. Because I wouldn't say that men don't express themselves because they cannot, but it's more of what the society is ready to welcome. And it's not yet ready to welcome for that. I think there was a few years ago about Kaka and his wife. Why, when she divorced him because he was too nice.
Yeah.
Right. And those are situations that happen where I would say we are empowering women to to identify the Jonases, to identify this and that. But we are still keeping the men being educated by the older generation again. Who didn't have many options on how to express their emotions. And then also in the part of expressing emotion, we should not just focus on the negative emotions.
Yeah.
Like we just want to see a man cry. No. Like it's okay that the way Stoicism says it, that you should care more on things that are under your control and not things outside of your control. Because what matters is how you react to the things outside of your control. And that's how I'll say how people should be expressing their emotions. That instead of like something that happens and then you want to let it out immediately, but you still have to think like, can I change it? So if I cannot, then okay, I know I'm feeling this way. And if I need some time, just be able to express it like, okay, give me a few minutes to cool down. And let you actually do that. And they should not associate it now to you being weak. Yeah. Because they want you to, they want men to express their emotions, negative emotions most of the times, but see, they don't want men to be weak, like to appear weak. Right. And so it creates that kind of contradiction.
Yeah.
Like, how do I stay strong and
express
myself and being weak? And I think this podcast, Live Out Your Potential, is also like a great space. I think with this encouraging and talking about these kind of topics, it's also another way of like giving men what they want. Yeah. Like their voice can also be heard in what they actually need. Yeah, true.
I think the role of community is very, very important. Very, very important. Because when I was growing up, there's this common saying. They say that if your family doesn't raise you, society will raise you. Yeah. So anything you don't learn from home, or you maybe they didn't put you through it properly, you go and look for it outside. So I want everybody to know in society and community that you also play a very big role to men's mental health. So I think one of the biggest advantages or should I say the biggest things that they could do to help men's mental health is social cues. Social cues are very, very important. Like now, let's say your guy comes into the house like after a long day of work, and then he just casually says, "Guy, I'm so hungry. I don't have energy to cook anything." And then he's just lying down there. He has in a way voiced out and said that, "Guy, I am hungry and I don't have anything to eat and I'm tired." If you're in a position where you could help, maybe you just made something to eat, you can just be like, "Oh, okay, I even made something." You can just social cues. That way, he wasn't awkward enough to come on his knees and start begging, "Please feed me.
Yeah.
I'm suffering. This one,
That's a good
like
one.
just social cues." Or sometimes some people can see some casual things like, "Kai, I just lost a certain amount of money or something like this, and I needed money urgently for something." Like in a way, he's sending you cues.
Yeah.
In no way am I saying that you should go and be Father Christmas and you should just be doing good, do good. I mean, if you can, because in this scenario, we are assuming that this person is your brother, not a guy. You understand? So if the person is a brother, I mean, why not help? So yeah, observing social cues, even this unwritten laws, or should I say these stuff we grew up hearing, the bro code. You understand? There's no way that is written on a piece of paper what the bro code is. I think the bro code is just an ideology to just talk about social cues.
Yeah.
Oh, this is my guy's babe. Stay away.
Yeah.
You understand? That kind of thing. Those are just social cues. You observe things and you just, act accordingly. So yeah, I feel like social cues could really go a long way to helping men.
And the last thing, encouragement. I feel men need to be encouraged more and more. And like I said, the rise of people like Dr. Jordan Peterson and the rest. One thing that he keeps saying is that most of the men that were coming to him were needing encouragement. And it's just, hear many songs appreciating mothers and women. I'm yet to hear one. If you know anyone, just tell me that appreciates fathers. Are there many bad men? Yes. I think there are many good men as well. And I think they need to be appreciated. They need to be encouraged. They need to, actively, we all have babes and we know they lent. So we don't, I don't know, but we have ladies in our lives. And I think sometimes the length to which we go to appreciate them is clear. And I think sometimes, even when I'm even thinking about appreciation, I'm more likely to think about my mom. But my dad has also sacrificed a lot. And I think men need to be encouraged more and they need to be appreciated more as well.
That's true.
Even the little things, because I think the problem is people think that men are hard to please, which is a lie. Men are so easy to please. The way I often ask women this question. You know how you feel when they tell you, oh, this your new hair is so good. Your head will be everywhere. You'll be so elated and all of that. How many times do you tell a man that I like your trousers? I like your shoes? That thing also feels good to men too. Yeah. So live in the moment. Give those compliments. They won't make you feel less than or anything. Yeah. Even a guy can compliment a guy. Yeah. I'm not one that believes that if a guy says that, okay, like for instance, you have cool necklace, you have this, and I start saying, to me, it doesn't mean anything, honestly. If I see a guy that is looking really cool, really clean, or is really smart, I would give you the compliments because I know what that does to someone's self-esteem, someone's confidence. In the morning, if you're even going to work and I tell you, this your suit is very nice, that whole day, whole day is made for you actually, because you just be feeling so confident any room you step into. So yeah, I feel like encouragements, they really, really make a difference.
Is it tomorrow or Sunday that's Father's Day? Yeah, I think is it tomorrow?
Sunday.
Yeah, because I think the third Saturday or Sunday of June. Yeah, so it's a great time for everyone to get a gift for those men who did the great things, sacrificed themselves, and also it's also a month.
Definitely. Well, I believe that's a very good point to end on this conversation. I thank you very much for offering us pieces of your knowledge and experience. I learned a lot from you. And I think many who will follow this conversation, first of all, they relate with what we talked about in this conversation because it felt so real, you know, real life, what we see on a daily basis. But also, I hope it also offers some light to men and also to everyone out there. Because at the end of the day, men's mental health is not men's topic or men's subject only. This is a community issue that we all need to come together for. We all need to see and find our role into it. We all need to be better people for ourselves, but also for the people around us. So thank you very much for having this fruitful conversation. And thank you very much for our viewers again for being with us on this episode. Again, this conversation does not replace professional help in any way. We always encourage that if you're feeling down in any way, or if you're not feeling well, just seek professional support, which is another thing I think we should have talked about. There's always support out there. Yeah. Sometimes it's not in your close friends. Sometimes it's not very much reachable, but I believe there's always hope. There's always someone here out there to help. And if your friend cannot help you, if your the person next to you cannot help you, there are professionals out there.
Yeah.
Seek help. And again, seeking help is not a sign of weakness. If anything, the best gift you can offer to people, those that you care about, is you being better and feeling better. So by taking care of yourself and seeking help for yourself, you're also catering for everyone that looks up to you. So yeah, if you all are feeling any way, please seek professional help, and there's always someone there to help you. So thank you for being with us. We'll catch up again in the next episode.